Here's a brief but annoying message to let you know that you could have first heard this episode 9 months ago if you were a subscriber to our Iron Filing Society Patreon offering.
For the price of a pint and a St Clement's each month, you can get up to 4 episodes a week, 9 months before the rest of the world gets them. Early access to regular episodes, lots of other marvellous benefits, and there's absolutely no adverts or brief but annoying messages like this that will get right on your ticks.
Find out more and subscribe now at tftimemachine.com/ironfilings.
Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go, this is it!
This is Top Flight Time Machine. I am Andy Hotbody Dawson. Pow, pow, pow.
I'm Sam Nifty Delaney. So what?
Welcome along. It's another Life Logistics. We are here to help you if you've got any woes or queries or problems. But no dreams. We don't interpret dreams. People have on the IFS have sent us their problems and queries for us to address, and there were about 50, so we can't do them all unless we go on doing this bit for weeks or do a 10-hour episode.
Are the main ones you're looking at on the Patreon, Andy?
They're on the Patreon, yeah.
Okay, right.
Exclusively on the Patreon.
Right.
Okay. Here's one. Hi lads, I'm moving house next week. This is from Mark. What should I do about new neighbours? Knock on their door with an oi oi or pretend they don't exist until we bump into each other by accident? That's a good one because I moved house a couple of years ago and I did the latter. I didn't go knocking on the door saying, hello, I'm your new neighbour. I'm Andrew. I do 2 sweary podcasts.
You may hear through the walls occasionally me swearing very loudly.
Yeah, no, just... but it happened organically, I think is the word you're looking for. It happened organically. The bloke next door, he was out and about, in his front garden, and we saw each other, had a nice chat. He's a great bloke, really good bloke next door. I'm not going to give his name because, anonymity and all that. But he's a good bloke. And the bloke on the other side and his family didn't introduce themselves at all, and they moved out 2 months later. Don't know what that suggests.
Well, maybe they thought, listen, we know we're moving. What's the point of wasting time chatting to this geezer when we're going to be gone anyway? Emotional
energy. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
so,
I don't know. Yeah, my neighbours, my street is it's quite social, actually. And
is it like Pigeon Street?
Yeah, it is. And, and obviously my interactions with Raggedy Ann are quite well documented. The first ever interaction, like the origin story, right?
Yeah,
was we'd moved quite a lot of stuff over, and then I went back to the old house, which wasn't far; it was in the same town, and I got my Vespa and took that over last, and I drove it. And at the time, the sort of little front garden bit was gravel, right? When we first moved in. And by the way, I'm a fan of gravel. I found it impractical at that time, but sometimes I miss it. But that's a separate podcast. We've never done gravel, but I would like to, right? So I drove onto this. I've decided, rather than park it on the street, I decided I'd park it in the front garden because I've had so many scooters nicked over the years. You can't be too careful. So I drove it through the front gate and started trying to park it on gravel. Now, don't know if you've ever tried to park a 2-wheeled vehicle on gravel, but it's hard. There's no traction, Andy. It's all over the place, right? And I'm, for some reason, it was stupid. I'm like trying to fucking negotiate myself around on this gravel, and it's like making all sorts of noise, and I'm sort of end up spinning around like doing donuts on the gravel. All I'm trying to do is park it up. I don't know what I was thinking. It's
a shame because the sound of tyres on gravel is one of the finest sounds.
Yeah, but
you can have.
I would agree with you, but suddenly Raggedy's out, and it's my first interaction with her. Although I had been warned, because funnily enough, this house, before we owned it, it was rented by the previous owner, and the people who were his tenants we knew.
All right.
We didn't know it when we bought it. We knew them from the school, and they said, "Oh, have you bought that house? That's where we've been living." And we were like, "Oh, great." what's it like? What's the vibe? And they told us, they said, listen, the woman on one side, there's a big problem there. And we had, I think the people who we know lived here before were more combative. And there was screaming rows almost on a daily basis.
Jesus.
And they said, but we liked them, so we thought it's not their fault. They're all right, but you know they weren't prepared to take too much shit and appease her, and so it really exploded. So I'd had the warning, and I was waiting for the moment. And sure enough, she comes out, and she doesn't say hello. She just goes, "Are you going to be doing that every day?" And I just went, and I thought this is a weird question. So I let a silence hang, and I just went, "No." And she just went, "Good."
Next question.
Yeah, she just went, "Good," and turned around and walked back in. Okay. And that I sort of thought, well, this is the start of something here. I thought I dealt with that well, like just by saying no. I didn't know whether I'd be doing it every day or not at that stage, but I just thought, well, what's the point of saying anything other than no? I definitely will never do this again.
Yes,
I mean, like, so. Every day, sometimes worse than this. I'll just be spinning on gravel. Wheel spins the lot.
I'm setting up a business where this is what I do.
So she presented herself to me that way, and on the other side, the really nice neighbour, she's just friendly, and I can't remember. I think she was sort of straight round and filling us in on local people. She was sort of like, right, her next door, she's trouble. Them across the street, they're nosy, blah, blah, blah. And she gave us like a free breakdown straight away.
A couple across there, we think they're dead, and they're ghosts.
Dead. But if you see them, don't worry, that it's just ghostly spectres. All right, so don't be scared.
What's the latest with Raggedy Ann? Is everything smoothed out now that you've got the dog?
I mean, it's actually fascinating. It's just, it's as interesting, I think, as her years of like massive aggression and insanity.
Yeah.
Almost more interesting is the fact that this year, practically the whole year now, she's been not just not aggressive, but actively friendly, particularly to my good wife. And we think it was the dog, right? But we can't work out what's changed, because certainly we're just the same as we've ever been. So all the things that annoyed her about us before, I'm sure still exist now. We haven't changed our conduct, because to be honest, I didn't think of ourselves as particularly difficult neighbours anyway. Do you know what I mean?
You don't strike me as a difficult man, Sam.
If anything, we're worse now because the dog won't stop fucking barking. That's the irony. So after all these years, I would say, after all these, we've been perfectly fine until this year. Someone could have legitimate complaint about us as neighbours on the basis of the dog barking non-stop, right? And yet, this is the 1 year where we've had no complaints, no hassle, and she's been very, very friendly. I mean, really friendly, like talkative. And
I mean,
it's such a removal that if it was a character in a film or a soap opera, you'd say it's not believable. It's too much of an extreme and sudden change.
Yeah, I mean, there are some people who have just got absolutely no time for other humans, but love dogs beyond all reason.
Yeah.
So perhaps there's some of that going on.
It could be that, and maybe like we just went up in her estimations because we were dog people. Although she did like Nelson. She used to be. We'd hear her being really sweet to Nelson, and and I actually told her Nelson's when she saw her, she went, "Oh, I thought you had a dog. Oh, it's lovely," and I just went, "Yeah, Nelson's dead." I weaponised the death of my own cat against Raggedy. That's right, Nelson's dead. And she was like, "Oh, he was such a lovely cat, but this is a great dog." And she gave it straight. And then ever since then, wow, just complete game changer. So maybe she thought they can't be that bad if they own a dog. Maybe, I don't know. But the U-turn, I cannot even begin to stress what an enormous U-turn. But who knows if it'll stay this way? Some people are volatile emotionally and mentally, and so you never know if it'll hold out, do you? But for now, as much as I know people enjoyed stories about the sort of mad behaviour of Raggedy Ann, I can tell you, although I can see it's entertaining and funny in a way, actually at times, like, what was the time? I think she loudly called me odious over a fence. And that time, that upset me. I was actually.
It's a good word.
It's a good word.
It's not.
No, that's why it was so. It was powerful. It was powerful, and it cut me to my core.
It's not the word of someone who is, unintelligent. I'd say.
No, she's well read. Clearly,
yeah.
She said that odious man. The problem was that it was the Vita Modular, mate. It was so hot. It was last summer, and the Vita Modular was roasting just like it is now. And I was doing my West Ham podcast, and I left the door slightly open. I had to. I thought I was going to suffocate, and that let my booming voice sort of escape from the Vita Modular and drift like the Bisto wafts over the fence and into her lug holes. And she heard me banging on about some like tedious bullshit about West Ham. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And she's just like, that odious man. In fact, my daughter heard it and said that the exact words were, that odious man talking about his Heineken Zero. Which, I suppose, maybe the worst insults are the ones have a kernel of truth in them. And I thought, well, I was probably banging on about Heineken Zero. It's the sort of thing I talk about. It's quite boring, especially to people who aren't interested in the West Ham pod that I'm making. And so maybe that does make me odious. And I went upstairs, I lay on the bed and I felt sorry for myself for a couple of hours, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, that's understandable.
That was the last significant event.
Yeah. I mean, she might be a dog person and also a fervent alcohol user, which means that she doesn't like the alcohol.
With his non-alcohol bullshit fucking pretend beer. Have a real beer, fad. You fucking ponce.
Look at you, grown man.
Yeah.
Basically drinking cans of shandy.
Pretend fucking beer. What's the matter with you? Have a glass of milk.
Yeah, so there you go. I think that solves that problem, whoever it was that asked that question. Mark, yeah, there you go. Kev Wilby says, my father-in-law is an ex-copper as well as a massive cunt. I don't want to be his mate.
Yeah,
I just want to know what's the best way to knock out a 6'4", 20-stone bloke.
Oh, 20 stone.
Oh, so it's got to be, you got to use poison, probably.
Drug him, and then when he's woozy. Yeah. I mean, the other thing is, when you're dealing with a big fella like that, it never, ever hurts, well, not you anyway, to just give him a right good kick in the bollocks. Wait till...
Or a punch in the bollocks if you're a small fella.
Wait till your missus is out the room. Wait till there's no one else around. But don't do it. Don't invite him somewhere quiet, because then he'll be on his guard. Do it when it's just a normal family get-together.
Yeah.
And if like your mother-in-law goes, I'm just going to sort some stuff out in the kitchen, and then your missus says, I'll go and give you a hand, right? That second, as soon as they're out the door, spin round, and before he's even opened his mouth to make small talk, whack hard as you can in the bollocks.
Straight in the balls.
He doubles over if you want to give him a dig and help him on his way onto the floor. And then what's really good is it's such an extreme thing to do, right? Completely deny it, even to him, even though it's just happened. He'll go, what do you do that for? And you go, what are you talking about? And then they come rushing in. They go, what's happened? I said, I don't know. I think he might be having a heart attack. He was clutching his chest, and then he was just down on the floor. Yeah. And he's like, what about chest? What about balls? So I go, he's gone, man. Maybe it's a stroke. His nut's fucking gone. Call the fucking hurry up wagon. Cunt's gone mad, had a heart attack. Poor cunt.
You could.
Mind you, he is a big fella. I mean, it's going to happen sooner. 20 stone's too heavy. I'm sorry, however old you are.
If you want to be brazen about it, you could. If you've got like a list of ongoing grievances with him, you could write them all down on a piece of paper, kick him in the bollocks, and then while he's going, shove the paper in his mouth and say, that's what this is for.
Yeah.
And and they can read it later. So there you go.
That's it.
We're not condoning, Kev, any of these remedies.
Well, hang on a minute. He's an ex-copper and he's a massive cunt. I reckon that description checks out. So if you want to kick him in the bollocks, you've got my backing. All
right, okay. But don't do the poison thing.
Right.
Oh, what else have we got? Sam Dunstall says, not a question, more of a statement. Fuck the mortgage application process.
Yes.
Ah! Yep,
Yeah,
okay.
absolute nightmare. Especially if you're self-employed. You know, forget about it. It's just a fucking nightmare.
Joel Boone, I'm getting married next month. Congratulations. The night before the wedding, there is a gig I want to go to with my best man 100 miles away. Okay, the missus will be staying at the venue. Should I risk going and getting back at 2 in the morning when the ceremony is at 12? Well, fucking hell, 100 miles away.
Just sounds like a
What
hassle,
kind of gig
mate.
is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a fucking
It's got to be
hassle.
a really good gig.
It's just not worth it. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Whoever it is, even if Prince is back from the dead,
Yeah,
right?
no,
It,
200-mile round trip.
it's just nothing is worth. They will, whoever they are, they will play again, and they will probably they've got to fucking play near it. There is nothing about that sounds pleasant. It sounds like a fucking hassle. And, you know, I like live music as much as the next person, but that is a massive pain in the arse. You're mad to be thinking about it, in my opinion. Sorry.
Yeah, don't do that.
I'm not
It's really
judging you
silly.
for it, but it's just friendly advice. You'll end up not having a
If
good
anything
time.
goes wrong, the chances are something will go wrong because, you know, the gods will play their part in that, and you'll be on the hard shoulder until 5 in the morning.
Here's a good one, going back to me being a man-child with my 0 alcohol beer. Nathan says, I told my cousin at a family funeral last week that I don't drink anymore, almost a year. So he laughed and tried to pour some of his beer into my mouth. At a family funeral as well. Imagine the scene. Yeah, I don't drink anymore, mate. Ain't drunk for a year. Hey, fuck that, come on. Let's pour some beer in his fucking mouth. Mate, it's a funeral. Fuck's sake. No, I'm not having that. Come on. I'll force it in you.
Jalapeño. Jalapeño.
Should I get a Stony on Kiki's story and spark the cunt out? Cheers. No, just tell him. I mean, just tell him. Just be very serious. You got to be serious sometimes. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people when they first stop drinking, like they try to play it down because they don't want it to be a big deal. You just got to fucking. I'm sure you've got good reasons to not drink, and you just got to fucking make that clear to him and just go, look, mate, I'm not fucking drinking. And I would really fucking ask you seriously not to try and pour alcohol in my mouth because it means a lot to me. This is very important. It's not a laughing matter for me. You know, it can be awkward and embarrassing to be serious about things sometimes. Fucking hell, you know, I'm as guilty. I mean, that's something that has been a problem for me throughout my life. I've got a sort of almost pathological urge to take the edge off any conversation with a silly, daft joke. And, you know, it's only out of awkwardness. It's not even a need to be funny all the time. It's more like I feel awkward when you're being sincere, right? I don't know. I think people of our generation are just like, you know, we just never took anything seriously. But sometimes you have to fucking smash the emergency glass and say something with sincerity.
Yeah.
And when you do, because it's so rare, usually people take you pretty seriously and respect you for it.
The older I get, the less bothered I am about making people feel awkward. I almost revel in it now.
Yeah.
So I would I would give it all the serious stuff about that. Yeah.
He might feel awkward, but I think he might, even if he sounds like a bit of a cunt, he's probably just doing it out of his own insecurity. And if you just look him in the eye, you don't have to be all like moody about it. Just say, look, this is really serious, and I really, it's not like a whimsical thing. I'm very serious about not drinking alcohol. I've got my reasons, and so please, I just ask you to respect that. And he'll be like, oh, fucking hell, all right, sorry, didn't realise. And then if he carries
or he might
on,
just try and pour some more beer in his mouth.
some more beer, just run away. Just run.
Yeah. Hopefully you're faster than he is. Yeah. Another alcohol-related function query. Callum Winterford. Girlfriend and I have been talking about getting married, but we're worried about the alcohol-fueled behaviour of her family.
Oh, yeah.
They tend to drink to excess, get drunk, and cause chaos and upset.
This is
They're
very
not fun
familiar.
drunks, let's put it that way. Should we just have an alcohol-free day, which would upset her family as they'd know it was because of their behaviour,
Yeah.
and deprive everyone else of having a wedding drink, or would you recommend something else? Well,
this is very familiar to me because we had a succession of weddings where it was just always just terrible antics by various members of my family, probably including me. It probably came to a head with my brother Dom's second wedding, where I was the best man. I lost the ring because I was pissed I was best man. I was pissed so early that I fucking lost the ring when it was still the morning. Left it in a room in the hotel where it was all taking place. Luckily, when I realised I'd lost it, I started running around the hotel looking for it, and it was still where I'd left it. Just on on like a chair in a room.
Right.
Have you seen the ring? I left it on a chair in a room.
I put it on the chair for safekeeping.
It's a room. Now, that's a good question. It's a room, right? A room sort of like this: 4 walls, ceiling, the usual.
It had a telly in it. I remember it had a telly in it.
And at least one window. And the thing is, there's all these chairs, and the ring was like sort of causing me aggravation in my pocket. It was sort of rubbing, it was chafing me, yeah? And I thought, oh, fucking hell, I don't need this, not on a day like today. So I thought, I'm going to lighten my load. So I took it out, and I put it on a chair, yeah? Perfectly normal thing to do. What happened next? Well, next thing we know, there's something to take care of in another room. So I've gone, ring's still on the chair. Now I've realised, I've not got the ring, the wedding's in a minute, what room, and where is the chair? I don't know. I don't know. This is a hotel. How many rooms would you say are in this hotel right now? A lot.
Right now.
At this moment in time. And then I just went downhill and fucking... It was the wedding where, the Elvis impersonator fought Richard O'Brien and Crystal Maze. I had to split that up. But then fucking... Oh, God. My brother... He came in and he did that fucking thing where... Like, only cunts do this. I don't care how drunk you are. It's never funny. And it's the mark of someone who is they are a cunt.
Right.
And it doesn't mean they're an all-right cunt. They've got real cunt inside them. I've never done this, and I'd fucking bet that you've never done this. It's no way a Dawson move. Sort of cunt who thinks it's funny when you're pissing, you got both hands on your knob at urinal, come in and push you in the back.
Oh.
Right.
Oh.
I've had that done to me twice in my life, and both times I've had a physical fight about it, right?
Well, yeah, quite right.
And this time...
You put your knob away before you started fighting.
Yeah. Although I should have left it out because that just scared... that gives you a psychological advantage.
It does, yeah. Random factor. Yeah.
Yeah. So I turned around, it was my brother, and... I started fighting him, and I got him in a headlock, and then I got him in the toilet and was trying to get his head down the toilet, and then everyone else was involved, and in the end I said, I'm going to let you go, but only if you promise not to attack. This fight's over. And he said, okay, I promise. And my other 2 brothers were there, and they were they were guarding him. They said, seriously, don't, because it's Dom's wedding, this has gone far enough already. There's already been one fight between Richard O'Brien and Elvis. Now this, fuck's sake, right? And so I let go, and I walk away, and then I hear, watch me now, and he's picked up a metal bin and just fucking chucked it through the window of the toilet, the glass window, out into the street.
Fucking hell.
And I go, what'd you do that for? And he said, well, you said I couldn't continue the fight. So I don't... It was sort of like he was sort of trying to say he had to let his aggression out somehow.
He needed to deal with, yeah.
But it was my brother. It was his brother's wedding, and he's smashing up the fucking hotel that we're in. So, and all this shit happened. And then when we got married a couple of years later, me and my good wife, we were genuine. There'd been so many incidents, so many weddings like this. We were like, I was like, I don't even know if I want to like his behaviour at that time. I was like, I don't know whether I want to invite him. And there's certain other people that I just thought, do I really want to invite them? And are we going to have booze? But you got to have booze. And, I wanted to be pissed on my wedding day. Right? I did. So it's my wedding day. Yeah, that's what
weddings are for.
I want to be slaughtered pissed. Right?
Yeah.
But can I trust myself? Probably not. But I certainly can't trust my relatives.
If you don't have booze, people will just smuggle it in.
What I did was...
Like the America in the 1920s.
I'm not saying I dealt with this correctly. I'm just trying to demonstrate that I know the feeling when you've got problematic... And pretty much everyone Or like 70% of the people at my wedding were potential problems with it mixing. I mean, Pancho from the Flats was there, and he's a machine. If it's a free bar, it's a fucking machine. Once he found out it was a free bar, but luckily he took all his aggression out on the fucking buffet. I mean, he practically hoovered the old fucking thing up in 5 minutes flat to himself. So that wasn't too bad. But I really like. I think what I did was I went on about it so much in the build-up to my relatives about how worried we were about them ruining it with their antics, that they turned up almost a bit grumpily and sort of sat in the corner a bit. And to be honest, that suited me fine. Yeah.
I mean, with this, I don't know. If you do that with this family that Callum's got, I suspect they might get the hump. I think he should, him and his missus, just go off and get married, just the two of them.
I've got friends who've done that for this reason.
Just do that, and then have a party afterwards in a pub or something 3 weeks later, and then there's less pressure on everyone. Because people get like emotionally het up because it's a wedding. You know what I mean? Everyone just gets so... There's a difference between a wedding and, let's say, just a party in a function room in a pub. You know, once the wedding's done, if they go and do that themselves somewhere else, and then just come back and say, oh, surprise, surprise, we got married. And then they have a party like a month later or something. Do that. Then you can always just fuck off if anyone's kicking off at your party.
I had one, there's a guy I know, and he's problematic, and basically his missus, her best mate, was getting married, right? And it was a big wedding, and quite near to the ceremony, she called up, the bride called up this woman, and she was like the bridesmaid, and she said, I'm really sorry, there's no nice way of saying this, you know how much I want you there, and you're my bridesmaid and all of that, and I'm really looking forward to it, but I'm afraid that your husband is not invited. And she was like, how can I come and be your bridesmaid but not bring my husband? She said, you know why? We've talked about it. We just can't risk having him there. We've put a huge amount of planning and money into this wedding, and I think you know that he's too much of a liability to have there, and we won't relax or have a good day because we'll be constantly thinking, is he going to ruin it with his antics? And she in the end said, all right, fair enough. And she told him, and he was like, oh, it's a bit off, innit? Oh, well.
Never mind.
Yeah, he was like, oh, well, gives me a day to myself.
He's probably got a point, really.
Yeah, he was a bit like that. He's like, well, I mean, it's a shame, but I wish him all the best, all the same. And I'll probably go, I don't know what I'll do that day. Maybe I'll go to the zoo on my own. There's all sorts I could do. Yeah, go watch a movie.
But I tell you what, no hard feelings. I'll do a card and I'll put 40 quid in it.
I'll slap 40 quid in a card for him. You take that along and tell him it's from me. All the best.
Brilliant.
He wasn't bothered. I mean, to be honest, me now, I dread being invited to a wedding. Like, in my 30s, you're always at a fucking wedding. It's a nightmare.
Yeah,
I've got a niece now.
Everyone's married now.
I've got a niece now, and she's in her 30s, and like, she's getting married next year. I don't mind going to that one. That'll be all right. But every time I see her, I go, what you been up to? And it's like, especially over summer, I've been to a wedding every weekend.
Yeah.
I look at a fella who's a really good lad, and he just always looks like, he just gives me a look to say, complete fucking nightmare.
More weddings. Always with the weddings.
The expense. And everyone, no one seems to just get married anymore either. So it's like we're going to a place to get married. And
we're going to have the ring delivered by an owl.
Yeah, and you've got you can't just turn up, right? You got to fucking stay in some fucking hotel for 3 days. It's like 150 quid a night, 450 quid, room service or eating out in the fucking hotel.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, the amount of money you have to spend on it is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Plus, the wedding itself, mate, let's be honest, quite boring. You got to talk to all these people. You're tired. You're wearing a suit. It's uncomfortable. You just wish you were at home do you know what I mean? On your sofa.
You're getting your dinner at like 4 p.m. or something, which is like either too late or too early. It's just not right.
They're not even
There's,
giving you any peanuts to tide you over. I'm looking at my watch thinking, hey, I'm here in a suit. I'm fucking starving hungry, right? I'm talking to some bloke, some Eddie Howe type character, who's like the husband of a colleague of my wife or something like that, right? Talking to him. He's into fucking God knows what. I'm trying to make nice chat, and I'm thinking usually I'm at home at this stage. I'm in me comfortable clothes, and I'm probably eating some peanuts. Maybe I'm having a cup of tea or eating some peanuts, stroking the cat, and I'm thinking, I might stick the telly on in a minute, see if I can watch some football or,
A Place in the Sun, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And, I think fondly about my normal life and how lovely it is. And I think, what am I fucking stuck here for?
Yeah, true. Yeah, but I mean, Callum, just weddings are so expensive. Just go off and just do it, the two of you, somewhere.
Yeah.
And just say, we didn't want the expense of a big wedding, or even her parents didn't want to trouble them with the expense and hassle. We went and did it ourselves. We're married now. Let's have a party in a few weeks. And then, that'll start at like 7 p.m. Because the problem is with this fucking family, they're going to be on the piss from like 11 a.m, aren't they? And that's why there's going to be problems. So if you just have an evening do, after you've already been married somewhere else, just do that. And then if you go and just do it yourselves, you can afford to get the owl to deliver the rings, because that's a big expense.
That
could be your little treat to yourself.
Get a peregrine falcon if you want.
Or a wolf. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's our advice. Quick one before we go. Christine Adams just got a nice new teapot. Congratulations, Christine Adams. Should I allow it to stain, or should I wash it after each use? Over to you, Sam, our teapot expert.
I personally, I just rinse mine out.
You rinse, it's a halfway house, isn't it?
I cold water rinse it. I think you want it stained. You want the residual, and but obviously the extreme of this is my cousin in Italy, who when he gets a new coffee pot, claims that he makes 100 pots of coffee that he throws away before he will make one that he drinks.
Sure, it's ready.
I feel that's over the top, but it shows where some people set their standard.
There's a lot of commitment there. 100's a lot.
100's a lot. I wouldn't make 100 pots of tea before using a first teapot. I might make one pot of tea, throw it. I'd wash it properly, then I'd make a pot of tea, then I'd throw that tea away, then I'd rinse it, then I'd make another cup of tea, and then after that, just rinse it. Just rinse it with clean cold water. Leave it to dry on the side. It'll be fine.
Yeah, there you go. Then that's the advice of Top Flight Time Machines. Teapot Czar.
Yeah.
Sam Delaney. Thanks for that. We will we'll do some more of these life logistics next week, because it seems to be ongoing.
Yeah, it's good.
There's so many. Right, yeah, thank you very much for listening then, and goodbye.
Goodbye.